I personally couldn't. Well, it's hard for me. I'm not saying it can't. It's hard for me to make it to these things because, like, is it ever gonna stop? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I appreciate saying white people like yourself that understand saying like the shit, you know, and like
where do you find your gumption?
Yeah, it's like because out of all of us, there's still some USA saying we've all said it in some way, you know what I'm saying, and like saying our patriotism and like in our blindness, you know, like, and I know you know way above the facts that we need to know about this particular shit, you know, like saying like what, like, yeah.
Well, you're in some ways sort of.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of stuff right there. I mean, just like a few things like that last question, that issue about like identifying with the U.S. with like this is my government, this is our state, like that's a kind of propaganda we are inoculated with from a very young age to keep us from resisting, by making us identify with the sources of power that oppress people here and abroad. And so, like, I think that's something that has to be broken. The way for that to be broken, though, is to see it. Like, when you see cops beat your friends down in the street at protests over and over, when you see the U.S. kill more and more people in Syria and Iraq, and you see that over and over with your own eyes, that starts to affect that propaganda. But to get back to what you were saying earlier about, like, how to keep going, like, real truth, it's really, really, really hard.
I bet.
It's really hard.
Because how does that go? How does that shit affect the music also? We're going.
The thing ultimately, though, inspires me is someone like this man I know named Ruben. 87-year-old guy, grew up in Brownsville. He's out there today. He's 87 and he's out there. And he's been out there since he was, in his teens. So if he's fighting back, then what am I who am I to say, oh, I'm tired? Right. Or I can't do this anymore.
Sword for 70
exactly.
years. Like, what's going on
and
with
so,
me?
like, that's a kind of inspiration. Or just like looking at history and seeing all the people who have fought and struggled. And just to clarify one thing, Chris, I mean, like, every social movement in this country, I mean, that is worth anything, that really gets stuff done, is led by black people, is led by brown people, specifically black and brown women. And so, like, I just want to make that clear. Like, yeah, there's some white folks out there, but ultimately, like, the leadership, the people really driving this struggle, is black and brown people. And that is always erased from history. That's always erased from history. How black and brown people lead the way, and then that chapter gets scrubbed out.
So do you think that, I'm sorry I interrupted, but I know that, for instance, when that guy got shot in the back in Charleston, that was like some guy I went to school with, that was like his relative. I'm like, Dad, that's like way too close. And it was like, literally like less than 10-minute drive from my house. And I'm just like, okay, this is happening. I have a point here. But so it's happening. So what do we like? I don't know. It just seems like everything's so like, you step on like a surfboard and you fall off. Like there's a lot of fear right now, or at least I feel like people who, especially through the media and everything, there's a lot of fear. Like you said, maybe it's ingrained in us from youth or something. Like, how do you see us people overcoming that fear? Do you think it's just through things like that? Like you seeing someone out there who's been out there since he's been in his teens. Do you feel like hope is the most important tool that the human species has? Do you think that, in a sense, or?
I mean, it's easy to be down and pessimistic because of the time in which we live. The fact is, all of us have grown up in a period of reaction across the whole world, where there have been gains, there have been victories, But the overall, on a worldwide scale, there has been a pattern of reaction. I mean, you can just see that.
Every human being entered the world in a pattern of reaction.
No, absolutely not.
What do you mean by reaction? I guess I'm confused.
I mean, like
human beings into
political
the world.
regression. Political regression.
Oh, okay.
That and there have been victories, but there's also a long-term trend. I mean, you can just think about the fact that like when the Affordable Care Act was passed, that was considered like this far left thing in American politics, like the left position.
And
even though it was based on ideas first suggested by the Heritage Foundation, a far right think tank in the 90s. So what was in the mid-90s, the far right position of American politics was almost 20 years later on the left. And so there is that pattern of regression, unfortunately. But there's also a history of struggle.
Oh,
I mean, like,
okay.
Look at where the LGBTQ struggle is today versus 20 years ago.
Right. It's
What
amazing.
incredible victories.
It's amazing.
You know?
Oh, sorry. I remember the other point. Sorry. Technology. Now we can document things. Because when that shit started happening, I was like, black people I know were like, oh, this has been happening.
Thank you.
But now it's like somebody shares it like on a camera. Like technology
Well,
has
it's like on the news now.
fucked people who were like
was
trying to
not
do
on
that shit
news.
undercover. Body cams. It's like now we can talk to somebody across the world instantly. It took like years and you might have died. You know, like before you had people on horses delivering mail at postal service, there was like, it was dangerous. Like now technology has united us, so it's interesting to see like, or I don't know, I guess nobody really has this answer, but
like,
do you
okay,
think that's
so
helped the movement for sure? And
I mean, I don't think there's any question that in the case of Black Lives Matter, like the development of cameras and phones that everyone carries around is like crucial. And like you said, it's not like this shit is new. It's just that it's possible to get these videos out there in a way that will make mainly white people who didn't believe it before be forced to
But
confront it.
videos are dangerous to me. Let me
Which is
explain
crazy.
why I think videos are dangerous. Because videos always explain, they leave out a lot of context, right?
Of
And
course,
like, since if we've ever composed music for a score, for a film, music really implies a lot of context that you don't get in terms of what's going on. So let's say I'm hanging out with TJ, and he doesn't like hearing the N-word. But I am... Now, I'm not going to say it, but now I'm hanging out in, like, California with a friend of mine that I grew up with, who I'm homies with for, like, life. We've been saying that's for our entire life. Right. And somebody captures a moment where I say the N-word.
oh, you're fucked.
And now I'm fucked, right? Now I'm fucked. But in that moment with that dude, I was not fucked, But somebody caught that. And so it's like, where this social media stuff, it's dangerous because it takes the little moment that I had with my friend where it was funny, where I said like, yo, you are definitely my whatever you want to put in there. And then I just like literally get scorned by the whole world for doing something that was inappropriate for the meta people of humanity, but not for this one interaction between me and my homie.
On the flip side, though, like in another light, I remember listening to like the whole LGBT thing. And, like, there's this famous case. I can't remember the exact details. I'm so sorry. But these two guys, they're gay, but they're hanging out, and they weren't like actually lovers. But it just led to this big case. I guess the police came and there's this big thing, and like maybe there was like somebody got fucked up or something. But like the whole way they were spinning it was like, for LGBT, like gay rights. But they weren't even lovers. They just happened to be gay in the same room. But they're just like, well, fuck, this helps. And it like ended up helping, but it was just like this weird like gray legal area. Like, I don't know. Legal shit is just beyond me. It's just very weird. And like the language and
it's like rules. It's a ton of rules.
Yeah, I don't do well with that. But it's just like how like.
But I always get really defensive,
that,
or like like when someone says like, for instance, the rule, you can't say the N-word. The only thing that I start thinking is the N-word.
And
it's not that I'm like a fucking racist person. It's just I'm human, Like if someone says don't think about the big elephant in the room, the only thing I'm gonna see is that big fucking elephant.
My main thing is I try and pay attention to like the person's intent,
Yeah, exactly.
And like when I was down like Argentina, he was like, "West Side, nigga." Saying, I was like, "Oh shit!" But all I could do is like. smile because he was so happy and like
Yeah, because intent is different than content,
That's a weird
right?
thing, though, man. I don't know.
you
Like
know.
when you tell them, like, no, but do you chastise that guy? And be like,
No,
don't say that word.
I didn't
man.
chastise him, you know what I'm saying, because my Spanish wasn't that well, but he knew West Side nigga, you know what I'm saying? And it's
At
like,
least he got the English part, right?
yeah. It just shows me the influence of what's going on in the USA and like, and like how they even view saying us down there too. But it's just crazy.
You know, but like when I was in India, people just yelled at me. They called me Chinaman, which is not right at all. But
What?
I just thought like
That's their own
funny.
thing over there in that part of the
They're
world.
just
Like,
looking, they're just
motherfuckers.
messing up right now, and they don't even know that that's like a slang term. You know,
They
kind
just
of.
watch American
They just
television.
look at this dude with long hair who's brownish and kind of like pale, and they're like Chinaman. You know,
But-
they didn't think I was an American at all.
but their intent is not evil, no.
No, they were like,
Well,
they were
yeah.
like, yo, what's
I
up, Chinaman?
I went off China.
And
But
that's-
there's,
but
in
I
other
think
parts
it's
of the
important,
world,
though.
though, there's different, like, history.
Yeah.
True.
So what if someone's just yelling at you? You're in India, and they're like, "Yo, what's up?"
Well,
and
that-
they just
that
yell
happened
the
to me.
N-word at
Well, it
you.
happened
and-
to me in
That's what happened to
Morocco.
Chris.
Yeah.
And I'm in a different
Exactly.
country.
But like they're
Yeah.
yelling it at you know,
Yo.
like they're saying like
This
you.
dude came up to me after the show I played in Morocco, and he was just like, "Yo, what's up, man?"
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's
he
what
was
I'm talking
Moroccan.
about.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
I'm in
exactly.
Africa right now. But yeah, it seems so weird
It's
because he's like
weird,
Arabic, but every Arabic person
So
I know
like,
in New York
what
is
does
like
it, when
that
it goes
anyway.
past brown to yellow to white? Now you're not allowed to say.
Not
it.
necessarily.
Like I'm in the middle there. I'm kind of like.
I think it
An
depends.
obsession with this.
It's just because to me
So
it's
simple.
But to
Don't
me,
say it.
it's about.
simple.
But to
Don't
me, it's
say
about
it.
freedom of speech. You know, it's a
Yeah, but
Freedom of
I'm going-
speech is a bullshit concept.
It
It's
is.
bullshit.
So that's what I
It's
want to hear.
bullshit.
That's what I want to hear. Why
Freedom
do
of
you think
speech is a
freedom
lie.
bullshit?
Because you know what? Because speech leads to acts. Speech leads to acts. And the whole idea of freedom of speech is built on the assumption that ideas are debated in an abstract world separated from facts. So when some person in Foley Square today wants to get up on a microphone and say, we need to deport all these people, we got to get rid of these Muslims, we got to get rid of these Jews, you know, we got to put our women back in their place. Like, I am not about his free speech. No.
What about if that's art? You know, like I'm not saying now.
wait a
Minute. Let me finish.
What?
Let's say someone made a great play to justify some point, and they had to use that language in there.
Well, yeah, that
Right?
happens all the time.
It happens all the
Come on,
time,
bro.
and that's like now it's not some dude with terrible intent. It's some
Yeah,
dude
but that's
with
different.
good
It's a little
intent.
But
different.
why are you so obsessed with your need to find this little
It's because I'm a
angle?
musician and I believe in sound. So here's where I'm getting at here. All right. So if this is where I have a big problem with and I'll just go over here. And this is for musicians out there that are listening. The Black American music movement. All right. The band movement. All right. Where certain people are just not allowed to play certain kinds of music. And I really have a problem with that because I love all the music. I get inspired by black music. I want to play just like that. I want to be able to think just like that. And if I can't think one sound that's particular off limits to me, that's automatically an unfair game. And I don't like that.
But that's
It's
also
unfair.
Unfair? How the fuck are you gonna tell black people in the United
It doesn't
States that
matter.
something's
It's a
unfair?
philosophical
How are you
debate
gonna
right
do
now.
that?
I
How are
am
you gonna
doing
tell
it.
black
I'm
people
doing
in the
it right
U.S.
now.
that something
What?
is unfair?
I'm telling
That is
everyone listening out there,
unreal,
so
man.
every black person listening, I'm taking
Yeah,
this
yeah,
stance
tell-
for all other non-black people right now.
Wait. Yeah.
But I mean, I love you, Nate. You know what I mean? Like, I love you,
Wait.
and I want
Talk.
to make this
Yeah,
a
this
thing.
like go because I had a question earlier. They got looked over, but it's like because I was like, yeah, man, because I had another black friend that I invited that couldn't make it, but they were like, yeah, I can't really fuck with that shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's how do you deal with black people like that, and then how do you deal like with something like that? Because the person that I'm talking about, I felt like they weren't gonna, like, they already had blocked you out and not giving you a chance. But I think they would have been more angered by Sean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I fucks with Sean, and saying Sean and Sean ain't out here to hurt nobody. I don't feel.
Yeah, I
love you guys.
I see you saying like like a broad human,
Like just a broad, like human being
but that's-
thing of
that's the thing.
language.
But at the same time, you got to realize,
It's
Sean,
really
this is a
messy.
place where you can right now saying where you could express those things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go out to the bar and start fucking with people, you know, and calling them out for little things like that, trying to get my ass kicked.
But if this is more like saying if the crowd was more heavily tipped black right now, I was wondering, would you be able to say those same things and stand behind those same things?
I would if I was given the opportunity to really articulate that thought. Like, you remember, like, just what happened now. Like, you can get hitbacks for any point, and if you want to take a spot here, I can find you 20 people from where I'm from who will hit you back really quickly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I said that before. It's like,
and they're very
people,
smart people.
So, yeah, I'm sure they're smart. But I know black people who are older black people who would not let me say the N-word. I'm accused of saying that shit daily, hundreds of times, to like my family and relatives. That's just how we spoke. Yeah. But I know black people who were not down with that. And if I said it around them growing up, they'd be like, don't say that word around me.
Right now, this is considered somewhat like, and I kind of don't like this idea, a safe space, right? This is we've agreed that we are going to exchange ideas with the knowledge that we're not going to fucking kill one another or punch someone in the face. It could be you can stand your ground. Like, I'll accept that right now. You can say whatever you want. You have the right to freely say whatever you think.
Okay, but
as long as I get to really respond freely.
Yeah, but it's going to lead to physical contact at the point.
No. That's where the two parties really have to agree to be, and that's civilization right there. That's two people being civilized and not animals. Because animals would just be like, you made that growl at me, I'm gonna growl at you, now I'm gonna puff myself up, now I'm gonna bite your throat.
But we do the same thing. It's just like we have first world problems. But like, we don't have to like kill each other. We'll just do it like socially and like emotionally. Cyberbullying,
passively aggressive, but it's still aggression.
In cyberbullying, nobody's actually hitting you. There's just all your emotions. Like,
why
should it matter?
You know, like my brother studies jiu-jitsu, and I think that's a really good art because it's physical arguments, you know? Mm-hmm. But the two people that spar together are friends. They're never... And I mean, most of the time, the training partner is not an enemy.
But that's that's dojo versus
and so, like, right now... but right now, you know, like, I play music with you all the time, you know? Yeah. And we've never had this deep of a conversation about this one issue. But I know that on one level,
the N-word.
You are my N-word, dude. I know it, and I can say it. I can think it because I can think it. But because I can think that and understand that,
episode 1.
You know what I mean? If I can't drop the bomb, I can drop the intent. And that was a loving intent. That was not a fucking
but I know you
malicious
though.
intent.
So I know for me, I have friends who've said the same thing to me, and like I know their intent is at the utmost peak of human perfection, but at the same time I feel conflicted. Yeah, but I do recognize it.
I mean, I just want a recognition that this is a legitimate stance that I can take, and then we're friends. We can get past it. We'll hug it out later.
But Sean, hold on. There's a big thing that I think you're not clicking into, which is that y'all are gonna be cool, but maybe TJ felt some type of way about it.
Yeah, but he has the right to tell me that.
But maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe it could just never have come up.
He doesn't want it.
Let me just give you a quick story.
Or you could just respect that might be something.
Well, I do respect it. That's right. In this one moment, I choose to do that.
I've had older white men in the South. Like, I was with my friends, we were chilling, and like I met some older white dudes. They were mad cool. We were talking about music. We were playing. He's like, "Yo, man, check out Willie Nelson. He was a cool ass motherfucker."
He was cool.
But then we got to the end of the night. He was just like, "Man, I love music. Like, you should check this out." He's like, "But I can't stand hip hop. Like, I hate it." Like, I'm like, "Whoa, okay." So I had to say something like naturally. And Chris knows we've done like hip hop shows in the South, like rapping and playing, and they loved us because it was live and it was hip hop. And they're like, "You know what?" I had mad dudes come to me like, "I hate hip hop."
Oh yeah,
but I love what y'all doing. I can't stand those motherfuckers on stage. But you motherfucker, you got the instrument. But I'm like, but we might be saying the same shit, but it has no like.
To me though, that's freedom of speech. If that just shows that maybe they're a little ignorant, and you have a very teachable moment right there to really help somebody realize why they're being an idiot,
But you can only help someone. Some people are just going to
sometimes you don't have time and energy, but like, let's say I'm being an idiot, and you just are like, fucking Sean, I don't have time to deal with you anymore. You are an idiot all the time.
I can put my shoes on, you don't have to put your shoes on. You can cope the world.
If when I realized,
Yeah.
like, let's say I started saying just the N-word all the time around,
Yeah.
No,
you know,
that
and you didn't want to say it to me because you're like, this is too exhausting. If I realized that all of a sudden TJ's no longer showing up to play music or hang out with me or just say hi anymore, I'm gonna realize if I'm a good person that man I'm being a dick.
So
Be a good person.
So TJ, so this question for you is like, and I need a response from Nate afterwards. So it's like, you as a black musician went to, say, if you're a black musician, that means you went to school with white people. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, like,
and then
whole class.
yeah. So they slipped up, you know, and saying like, and numerous times saying, well, I guess we both gotta let that shit pass sometimes, you know. It's like the reason I don't do it sometimes because I don't want to deal with it. I'm assuming you got the same issue, but like, how much guilt do you carry with that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
for me, I've always, since I was in those circumstances as a young kid, but I just was surrounded by, like, you know, obviously my family's still black. You know, my friends, like my close friends, we were black and white, and we just had this understanding. You know, it's very. I mean, I went to art school and stuff. It's very like, you know, not, you know, some people don't have like a public school, whatever. But I feel like sometimes I felt like, you know, I never felt like Uncle Tom ever, because I'll eventually just say something. But there have been instances where it caught me off guard, like I wasn't ready. Like, I remember in college I braided my hair. Some motherfuckers like,
okay.
Yo, would you just come from prison?
Yeah,
yeah.
Actually, that was one thing when I grew
And
up.
I
The
was just
cornrows
like,
were
what?
like really.
I didn't realize.
Because my school did not have that many black students, but when people started having cornrows, people got offended, like teachers and administration.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, you can't bring that shit in.
What,
here.
Allen Iverson?
Yeah, what are you, Allen Iverson? That was the time. It was Allen Iverson. He was getting all that flack for having tattoos and shit.
But
you know?
but also, like, since being, like what Chris is saying, like Chris has done obviously more classical stuff. Like, it's. I don't know. It's like I love the music so much when I was younger.
I want to step up, but I don't step up all the time because I want to work. You know?
Exactly. You don't want to burn those bridges, but you want to let people know, and that's like a hard thing. And I feel like I do most of that just by existing.
So Nate, are we pussy for that?
No. Absolutely.
Wait, is that
not.
what you're saying? Is when you say "are we pussies for that"? Are you the exact same thing as like women that have to deal with that same fucking problem of?
Are we on the
It's
time?
exactly like the question.
Because we don't step up and speak when we're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Because we just said earlier,
Like a woman would do?
like
No, because they're strong women, right? They're strong ass women.
Yeah. Like, because the solution he was saying was like saying for white people that are saying speak up in those times. If I don't speak up in those times, like, am I like wrong?
Are you allowing it to happen?
No, that's victim blaming. That's victim blaming.
Yeah, word of the day.
You got to do what you got to do to survive. And you know, when we criticize people for doing what they have to survive under the oppression that they face, that's not building anything. So like ultimately, like that's a question for black people to decide. I don't have an opinion on that because it's not my place to have an opinion on that. You do what you got to do to survive.
Chris,
if
do
you
you
feel like it's your
do you
place,
feel guilty?
Yeah, I do feel guilty. Saying and like.
I mean, it's
So then it's on you. You gotta just always be calling motherfuckers out.
Would you?
Unashamed.
No.
There's another.
You can't always be
can't do
calling
that.
motherfuckers out.
And there's also another point to it, which I think gets back to
Look what happened to Emily.
Like,
Well,
what
how do
you're
you want
saying
people
about-
to behave? You know, if you allow it to happen, you
No.
kind of reward them for doing
No,
that.
I mean, look at all the people who got shot for speaking
but
up.
now you're blaming
and also-
black people for racism.
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're
See,
right. You're
that's-
right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
You're right. I didn't mean it like that way. Let me think for a second, and I'll re-articulate what I was trying to say because there was a point there. But you're right.
kill
You
them, black
got me.
But this is like a very Freudian concept, right? That it actually, you know, what happens a lot in society, in contexts where people are oppressed, the oppressor, they do things almost to like dote upon the oppressed, but it's a power dynamic, right?
Yes, definitely.
So like in order, like there's this idea that like the oppressed then can turn around and become the oppressor, but like ultimately they have to figure out how to empower themselves to get out of the context. Now, with that being said, in the case of like if the oppressor is always taking up space, right?
He's just
Then
present.
how can you allow room for somebody like a group to actually empower themselves and,
How can
and, their,
Africa
and
get
that's
more nukes?
and that's where there's this idea of like doing some work, like as somebody who's white in the theme of the conversation we're having, right, is like joining these organizations to do some of that work, right, to like take some of that burden off.
As opposed to taking up the shield every single day.
Well, as
against that
opposed to
dragon
just
of racism.
you being the one that is aware of the impact that you're having, even if it's like not your intention, right?
Right.
To actually maybe think more about your intention and to be self-aware, so that somebody doesn't have to be like, it's cool, man, because you were aware and you didn't do it.
So I think this is where
didn't bring it into the space.
I see where your point and where the right and the left I think are different, and this is where I'm really just not even a whole fan of the whole red shirt blue shirt kind of thing, but just what I feel like sometimes is what you're saying is you have the right, to change my behavior so that I can make you not feel oppressed, right?
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't phrase it quite like that though. Like I would say, like I'm gonna be just aware that you on a daily basis, like maybe are impacted by me, even if it's not what I'm meaning to do.
And that's to me what the right is peddling is. It's my responsibility to accept how you react to me from my interactions or oppressions with you. As a man, like if I'm just acting like if I'm just mansplaining to you all the time, right?
Yeah, like you should at a certain point become aware that like that's doing something to me.
Yeah, so that's my responsibility. That's my
responsibility,
right?
Yeah, because
but it's not like it's not your right to say like you have to act like this all the time.
Well, no, I mean this is sort of this is an abstract thing, right? Like this isn't like a direct like I'm saying you need to do this. This is the idea behind why it's important to organize for social justice purposes.
Wait, can I ask you a question, Sean?
Yeah.
Do you or do you not, no pressure, believe in free will?
Yes, I do. I think that we make our own choices, and that you have to accept the responsibility. I believe in this idea. It's not my idea. It's a guy named Jocko Willink. If you guys want to check him out, it's a great podcast. But it's about extreme ownership. Basically, is this concept is that if you make a decision, you own that decision. But the great thing about it is that if you make good decisions, it's good decisions.
But sometimes you don't always have the
But if
opportunity
it's bad,
to
it's
make
bad.
for a decision.
That's such I feel that's such an extreme right-wing position.
Yes,
because what it does is it explains the realities of people's lives that are the result of the material conditions in which they live on their moral decisions. And I think that's really wrong because what happens is with the let me finish. The logical conclusion of that statement is that people are poor because they deserve to be poor because they made the wrong decisions, and rich people are rich because they made the right ones. They did the right thing, and there's no basis for that in reality.
But it could be that your environment is literally reflective of the actions you take to change that environment. So if you're not doing anything to change it, it's not going to change it.
And that's important.
I can see that side. But you got to change your own world to change the world.
I believe in free will, Sam, but that's why I fucks with Nate so hard because he reminds me I'm not fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I see the shit happening. I'm saying like especially in this fucking classical music world. Saying for me compared to other students that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just easier for them for some reason somehow. Saying and we play the same or maybe not, but
some of them are trash.
Nah, I didn't say that. But I'm not even great. I'm just good. You know what I'm saying? But fucking and man, he reminds you that I'm not crazy. Saying, but I do believe there's choices you can make and saying that's what this whole thing's all about, man. Just to get the extra push, the inspiration to keep moving. Saying, but
well, that you could bring it back like way earlier on then, and think about the concept of like mentoring, right? Like
oh yeah,
that
I'm taking auditions for mentors.
Take auditions for mentors.
Proceed.
I had more of an elaboration on that, but I feel like I don't know. I don't need
free will.
Well, I mean, for instance, we all had in my opinion, we all had the choice to come here today.
Right.
And we all had the choice to say what it is we wanted to say. And, you know, like, I just met Nate. I think you're a super awesome dude based off what you just said, because you chose to articulate those thoughts.
Knowledge.
Now, if I disagree with any of them, that's just me either choosing to act.
Disagree with facts.
Yeah, but no, not facts, but like, but I can disagree
like,
with like maybe philosophical
concepts.
ways of like just acting in the world and having to make choices. You know, because I can look at something like we were talking about over free speech or free will or whatever, and just say that like, okay, as a person that I might want to make a different choice. Here's why I think that. Now you totally have the ability to change my mind. And we have the ability to change other minds through this podcast and then change the world. But, you know, we all made those choices, and that's the kind of what matters, is because those choices leads to words, then leads to actions, then leads to all the other things.
I think the most important thing in this whole conversation, this topic, like, how do you know you're oppressed? Like, if you're inside that
you're
shit...
aware. You see it.
No. But, like, I mean, we all know it. Like, you go to, like, anywhere impoverished. Some people just have had no one. You know, I mean, I know them. They've had nobody to step up. And I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's important. Those are preachers, right?
No. And then people who have had someone, doesn't mean they'll be successful. They still might fuck it all up. So it's like... I don't know. I understand. Like I'm a big believer like creating your own reality or whatever, all that. But some people just don't have the opportunity. Like think of all those millions of people throughout history who just had who just were slaves in any culture. Like they had no opportunity. They had no wealth. They were just stuck like that. It's like.
But that's one way to look at it. But I saw people when I walked through Asia that were living on the streets that didn't care about the materialistic possessions of
like fuck, I'm broke.
Of the Western civilization.
You know?
They thought I'm not broke. I have my entire family lives here on this corner.
Or that, yeah. Or
my entire life is based on this one little thing, and it's beautiful. The sun is always out. It's
so ignorance is bliss, maybe.
Well, it's just their state of living, and if they're not acting to change it to maybe westernized style of interacting, let them do that. That's their choice. They don't have the. I mean.
Real talk. We gotta shut this down soon. Yeah. But everybody spent some closing remarks here. What's up?
All right. I wanted to bring it back to like that the mentorship thing again. That I think that there's a conflict there about like the ignorance is bliss or versus like somebody actually giving you tools, even just like mental tools to maybe like see something that's outside of yourself, right? Which I personally value that a lot, and like I think is important in terms of relating to the world in a way where things are bigger than yourself. And when you don't have that at all, you might be content, but who's to say that that's like actually,
the end all goal.
Yeah,
you don't know what it's like to not be hungry.
Right, like we're in a kind of a cozy position. It's a lot prettier to think about like people who are in a less cozy position, just like that's what they know and they're cool with it. Maybe we can be inspired by the fact that we could be, pretty okay with a lot less. But I don't think it's I think it's limiting.
That's a good point. Yeah, you gotta strive for the top.
That's really that's really my closing remark. If I would have a closing remark, you gotta strive for the top.
Like this is where I think I fall as a person sometimes, because it's like I'm too giving sometimes, and not and then like in times where I should be selfish, and then vice versa. Saying it's just like making those right decisions, But But I don't know, so I'm still trying to figure shit out.
So I think, but making right decisions comes down to like what you think is good and what's bad. So I think
but you develop
what
what
matters is this discussion over what is good and what is bad, because that's a very human being thing. Apes don't do that. Cats ain't doing that. So I mean, just having this discussion is important, because let's say I have a fucked up view about something. You have that teachable moment to say, don't do that. right? Strive for a different higher good, because that one is fucked up. That one's lower on the hierarchy than it should be. You should be striving for higher. And if I'm fucked up, I'm stating what I'm being real with you. I can't censor myself. If I censor myself, you're not actually getting a good picture of who I am. So if I am ignorant in some way, I'm gonna tell you, and you gotta hear it, and then you gotta say something about it, and then you gotta do it.
Yeah. No, but I respect that. You know, I like I was saying.
That's why
like,
I'm here. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say.
I like just honesty. I feel like my closing remarks, like if human beings are just more honest with themselves and with each other,
Honesty.
I feel like, but like really deep honesty, like investigative, not just like. Like, okay, you take these ideas, but like test them. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of things we just take, like, you know, we watch, like, you know, whatever, I don't know, any kind of news, like anything. But if you're not out there, like, testing them and seeing if they're real, I feel like it's worthless. And like I feel like that's a gift to us as like living beings. We have the ability to experience these things, so why not go out there and really find out what the fuck is going on for yourself? Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, Nate. So call. Saying
final word by Nate. Final word. You gotta bring us home, dude.
Nate's final word.
Yeah.
So I hope this wasn't a waste of your time. You know what I'm saying? Like I hope you enjoyed saying this. This is the first one. There's some fat that's gonna be shaved off. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like how was your experience with this today, Sam?
Well, thank you for having me here. It was great to be here and speak with
Thanks
all of you.
Thanks for being number one.
And like,
Ichiban.
To be part of this conversation. I mean, these kind of conversations are difficult to have, but they're necessary. You know, I spend a lot of time in the street, you know, like handing out flyers to people, trying to get them to talk for just like 30 seconds, talk for a minute. So it's meaningful to have these kind of conversations to build solidarity, to build consciousness. So yeah, this is great. I mean, I wish we'd spend a little bit less time talking about whether you should say the N-word or not. Pretty straightforward.
I'll take full responsibility.
Straightforward.
Yeah,
but I thought it was important in some way.
Yeah, what else was a little ridiculous? Come on, tell me.
Nah, I think this was really good. You know, people, you know, said what they had to say. And that's
yeah. So name some websites right now that you'll check out some protest things. Name some orchestras that you're conducting or some groups you play with. You know, what I'm saying just drop it real quick.
All the name drops.
Just real quick because we're closing it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in terms of like media, you want to figure out what's going on in the world. You got to check out Black Agenda Report. Incredible website. You should look at Russia Today. There's a lot of good coverage of international and issues in the U.S. on that website that you're not going to get elsewhere. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and kind of like you're not in the bourgeois media that's going to give you a better view, and everybody's going to have to find it for themselves ultimately. In terms of organizations, again, there's the People's Power Assemblies. You can find them on Facebook, find them on Twitter. We've got a website too. We meet every Wednesday on 24th Street. And we're, you know...
New York.
Yeah, New York. And we're, you know, that group is organizing for immigrant rights, organized against police brutality and Black Lives Matter. Got a big demo coming up in July 13th in Flatbush.
Shit, we gotta get this shit out.
To mark 2 years since the death of the murder of Sandra Bland in a Texas jail.
That shit was crazy.
And then music, bring it back. You know, I play with the Sebastians. Definitely check them out. Incredible period instrument ensemble.
Facebook, Instagram, what's up?
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, every once in a while I have the honor and pleasure to play at Trinity Wall Street, and I don't think there's ever been a performance there I wasn't impressed with, whether I was on stage or in the audience, so I'd encourage people to check that out. Play with my man Chris here on the Allentown Symphony.
Oh, shit.
So, Pennsylvania folk, check us out there.
Platinum Plus! Sands! Casino! We'll bleed that.
And then, you know, just, you know, keep on fighting. Keep the struggle going.
All right, keep the struggle going. Yeah, what? All right,
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I hope that what you guys heard out there it could be inspiring in your life to maybe change your thoughts on some things, because there was both sides out here saying, and we even had a girl here. Yeah.
We had a woman here.
Yes.
A lady.
Chris.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We let her talk too, right? We let
We let her talk.
We like, oh my god.
Yo, we cut
I know, I know.
Yo, you can talk now. It's totally
We cut
fine.
her off. It's all on tape. It's all on tape. It's all on tape. It's all that. It's all that. It's all that. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Not a win.
Yeah. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll be better. This is episode 1. No, but honestly, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll see you guys at the next one. Yeah. If you have any questions, I'm at bass player everything. Instagram, Twitter, yeah. BASSPLAYAPLAYA.
2 players.
2 players.